All right, hello everyone. This is John S. Rhodes of the Rhodes Brothers. This is Greater Wealth Through Mastery. The topic of today's short talk is how much should you invest into Bitcoin? We get this question a lot. My brother Matt Rhodes of the Rhodes Brothers, the two of us, we get this question through various channels, through email feedback, person to person, when we go to conferences, when we speak, from our partners, from friends, family, you name it, we get the question all the time, how much should I put into Bitcoin? Now that assumes that someone has sort of crossed the chasm. In other words, they've made the decision to invest in Bitcoin. Now, if someone has not yet made the decision to invest in Bitcoin, there's no point, and you're barking up the wrong tree, and you'll be bashing your head against the wall if they have not yet decided in their own mind that they ought to be investing some amount into Bitcoin. Because those are two separate conversations. Usually, someone has to decide to invest in Bitcoin first, and that is its own journey. It can take a few minutes, but in most cases, it's not just an hour or two, it's literally hours and hours of time. Sometimes listening to podcasts and presentations and training just like this one, where people have to say to themselves, you know what, maybe there is something to this Bitcoin thing. Okay, so there's like curiosity that people have to sort of work their way through. And then the other part of that, and a very big part of the journey to making the initial decision to actually put money into Bitcoin, it comes down to handling objections. So I will not be covering the objections that people have to Bitcoin. There are dozens and dozens of different objections that people have all over the map. I don't know what it is. It's a Ponzi scheme. It's fake internet money. I can't hold it in my hand. Gold is better, and so on and so forth. There are so many different objections. Well, what about quantum computers cracking it? What about the government stopping me from holding my Bitcoin? I don't even know how to self-custody Bitcoin. And the objections stack up and up and up. This is important. It's very important for you to realize that if you're talking to someone else, those objections are real and they matter in the mind of the other person. So I'm acknowledging you. I'm thinking of you and your mind and your perspective. So if you are not bought into the idea of accumulating Bitcoin for yourself or for your family, then you must sort of stop here and go down in the comments below. Go down in the comments below and list your objections. And if you'd like us to put together a training on the handling of all those objections, any questions you have about Bitcoin and why you should not invest in it, like what are the problems? Why shouldn't you invest in Bitcoin? Or what have you heard? What is on your mind and why are you worried? So this is very important. Again, two buckets. You first have to decide over here. You have to make the decision that investing in Bitcoin is the right thing because all of those objections have been handled. Now, I'm going to assume from this point forward that you want to acquire Bitcoin. So we're moving into the sort of the second phase or the second piece, which is really the question of today. The topic is how much Bitcoin should you be investing? Now, there are some offhand flippant answers, which is as much as you can tolerate in terms of the pain, right? Because you buy it and you know it's going to happen, or at least you think you do. You buy your Bitcoin and then guess what happens? The price goes down, right? That is price volatility. And look on our channel when you get a moment and you'll get great information about Bitcoin volatility and what Bitcoin volatility really is about. And the big hint is it has everything to do with price and almost nothing to do with the underlying value of Bitcoin. But again, look on the channel and find that and discover the truth for yourself about Bitcoin. So how much should you invest? The bottom line is very simple. you want to invest as much Bitcoin as you can to the point of where it starts to worry you or cause you pain. And it could be both. So what that comes down to is portfolio allocation. So let's say you have a portfolio of $50,000. Well, you might say, I want to buy some Bitcoin. I've got $50,000, some in stocks and bonds, some in cash, maybe some in gold, maybe some in real estate. And now what you want to do is you don't want to sell everything and put it into Bitcoin. That's probably not the very first step. Now, some people do that. I think that's wild and crazy, right? And that's certainly not what I have done in any stretch of the imagination. But you can look at your portfolio, whatever assets that you have, and then you can say, here's my portfolio. And then a great idea is to say, what percent of my net worth, what percent should I put into Bitcoin? And as you're answering that question, and this is the key, you keep raising the percentage. You keep increasing and increasing and increasing and increasing the percentage until you get to a point where you're very uncomfortable. And then you ease it back and say, ooh, I don't want to miss out on the radical possible gains. It's going to shoot to the moon. And so let's put that together. You start with the portfolio and you start increasing the percentage, right? You go up and up and up and up and up. And you're like, okay, I can take that. And then you hit a wall. You hit a point where you're like, oh, I really don't want to put in more money. It would make me so stressed out. Then you dial it back from there and you get to a point where you hit FOMO, and that's fear of missing out. So you want to get to the point here where it's too painful to own anymore, because if you owned anymore, you wouldn't sleep well at night. So you have now this great space to be working in. You have the pain threshold up here where you just will not be able to sleep well at night. You cannot go over that amount because no one needs and no one wants to lose sleep because of an investment that they have made. Very foolish. You don't want to do that, right? That's absolutely ridiculous I'm going to put money in this so that I have freedom, so that I have a future of abundance and maybe a legacy, but you can't sleep. That's ridiculous. Don't go there. But there's this threshold where you can get to that point and you can say, you know what? I can still sleep well at night. And then what I recommend is that's like your upper limit, then dialing it back and you find your lower limit. And the lower limit, again, is the FOMO lower end. It might be 3%. It might be 2%, 1%. It might be 25%. I don't know. That's up to you. Again, as a percentage of your portfolio, as a percentage of your net worth, depends on how you want to measure that, right? So then you get down to the point and you're like, boy, if I don't have enough in Bitcoin and it goes to the moon, it skyrockets, the price the volatility is crazy to the upside and it goes, whoop, and it's a vertical green candle and it goes up and up and up and up and up. No one wants to miss out on those gains either. They don't want to miss out. Okay, so I'm gonna take a step back. I'll come back to to those bumpers, right? If you've ever gone bowling with the kids, they have the bumpers, so the ball can't go in the gutter. So you can think of on the one side, the gutter is the pain threshold being super high. You can't sleep well at night, and then the other gutter is the one where you're, fear of missing out of the great gains. You just want to stay in that lane. And again, I'll come back to that. Here's what you need to be thinking about. When it comes to owning Bitcoin, the amount of time that you're going to hold on to it should be as high as possible. So if it's going to be a short period of time, you probably do not want to put a lot of money into Bitcoin. And the reason for that is the volatility is too great. And again, go look at the other videos on the channel about Bitcoin, especially Bitcoin volatility. Because what you'll find is that volatility is your friend on the upside, going up, up, up. But volatility is your number one enemy when it's going down, 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 right? So volatility is not your friend when the price of Bitcoin is collapsing. And the reason for that is psychology. It has nothing to do with the price. It has nothing to do with the underlying asset itself, that being Bitcoin. So you need to think about the psychology ahead of time when you're calm and you're rational. Because I can tell you from personal experience that when the price goes up, FOMO kicks in. Oh, I haven't bought enough Bitcoin. I wish I bought more. Coulda, woulda, shoulda, right? So that's down here. That's the fear of missing out. At the same time, if and when Bitcoin is collapsing in price and it drops 5%, 10% in a matter of an hour or two, you're like, whoa, freaking out. And that's the pain. And I will tell you something very, very important. Again, this is a psychological piece of information that you can take to the bank. The pain, the suffering, right? The agony that you feel at the upper end, like, oh, I can't go over 10% because I can't sleep well at night. I will tell you that the pain of losing is 3 times as great as the gains that you get. To put it in perspective, let's say that you own, I don't know, $10,000 of Bitcoin and it goes up by $1,000. So you go from 10,000 to 11,000. Well, that's pretty good. Now let's say the price drops from 10,000. Instead, the price drops from 10,000 to 9,000. Well, guess what? This is the mind bender. The pain of losing that 1,000 is 3 to 5 times worse than the pleasure that you get from the $1,000 increase. Do you understand? So 1,000 up, 1,000 down are not psychologically, physically, emotionally the same. They are not the same. This is proven scientifically. You can go look it up for yourself. You've probably experienced this yourself. And if you haven't before, just reflect back in your life about things that have hurt versus things that are pleasurable. And typically, if you look at the other side, it's 3 to 5 times as bad. People do not like losing. They do not like losing, especially money, which is like life juice, life energy. You know, you work so hard for that money. So to lose, right, it's like fear. Like, oh no, right? It's like death. It's terrible to lose that $1,000, starting with the 10,000, going from 10 down to 9, that 1,000. It's like taking you down to 7 and 6,000. It just feels so bad. Gaining 1,000, it's like, hey, that's cool. That's cool, man. That's good. So I very strongly recommend that you consider the psychology of winning and the psychology of losing. And now that will help you as well in terms of the upper limit, sleep well at night, and then you got your channel, right? The fear of missing out, right? When the gains come. And now you can sort of narrow, think about the bowling example and the bumpers. Now you can narrow in and come up with an area, a percentage in particular of Bitcoin that you want to acquire for your portfolio. I will also use a fun example that I've seen in the past from the cannabis markets. And they say low and slow, right? If you're new to marijuana, you want to start low and slow, right? So just a little bit, and then you ease up over time. So that channel that I'm talking about, you can start way down here, low and slow, and then work your way up, right? We're always trying to pull ideas from different markets. And that's very important for you to do as well as you consider psychology, feelings, ideas. This is very, very important. It's not just the numbers, in other words. It's about the psychology. It's about the feelings. It's about what this is going to mean for you in the future, not just now. You want to overcome feelings of regret, but you also at the same time want to make sure that you're not feeling desperate. Okay, so the emotions matter more than anything else. The psychology matters more than anything else. But I have given you a very, very clear set of guidelines that you can use to noodle it out and puzzle it out. This journey is different for every single person, and you are not alone. Obviously, if you have questions about any of this, please ask questions down in the comments below. We read every comment. It really matters to us. So what do you think? Does this resonate? Does this line up with your own thinking? Maybe you've already invested in Bitcoin, but maybe you're thinking about investing more. Maybe you're talking to friends and family about it, but does this resonate? Or do you need clarification? So let us know. And listen, you can do that right in the comments below. Very, very straightforward. And please send this episode to someone who might get tremendous value out of it. With this message, a lot of things can change for a lot of people. And it's really because of word of mouth, exactly like this, that the channel grows and we're able to produce more teaching, training, and content just like this for your sake. As always, the Rhodes Brothers do appreciate your support. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you in the next training. Take care.